Today we're going to be talking about ruminants. So in this model I have here, this is specifically cattle, or a design that is supposed to replicate what it looks like in cattle. So here we have the esophagus, and this is where the swallowing happens, and then it comes down, passing over the reticulum. So what happens in the reticulum? Well, here I have, bits of metal. We got fence staples and barbed wire, things like that, baling twine. That can end up in the reticulum and eventually become hardware disease if it gets too bad. And that's where that disease comes from. It's not like really a disease, it just means that there's puncturing and too much sharp things or things that are going to make them sick sitting in that reticulum. But if it's not that, it will pass through into the rumen. And right here I got all these stink lines, right? This is where we see all the methane. The methane's produced, the microbes in the rumen are actually causing fermentation, and that's what's making this happen. This is where protein is actually being made, because cattle aren't actually intaking a ton of heavy protein. What's happening is it's being developed and fermented by these microbes and then becoming proteins. But other things that are already carbs and sugars and fats are, well, volatile fatty acids will actually be developed here as well. But the carbs and the sugars, those are going to be fermented and then passed back through. So sometimes we know cattle chew on their cud. A lot of ruminant animals will do this. But if it comes back, or if it just goes through, right, the next step would be this omasum. So in the omasum, we have this water droplet. 30 to 60% of water is absorbed in the omasum. And this is just kind of making it easier almost on the rest of the tract. But a big portion of that absorption happens here in the omasum. From there, we come down to the abomasum. In the abomasum, I have, the storing, mixing, and breakdown going on in there. So we got this little recycle sign, right? All this stuff's happening and being absorbed, it's being used. So from here, whatever is not digested in the last two areas is going to go into that small intestine. So that's why we call this abomasum. Sometimes we'll call it the true stomach, if you will, because the rest of this stuff is just a process to make it better for cattle so that they can actually digest the things that they're eating, because they're not super high in protein in like a natural grass-fed environment. Some feeds are heavy on protein, but usually you don't see that till the end of a cow being fed out, because it can mess up with the way that they're designed to eat. So we tend to only do that towards the end so as not to mess up their livelihood until they're going to become beef eventually. So once again, the path through the esophagus, right, into the reticulum if it doesn't go. If it does, we're going to the rumen. From there, we're going to go to the omasum, get the water absorbed, the abomasum, the true stomach, having some nutrients absorbed, and then into the small and large intestines, where the rest of that nutrients will be absorbed and eventually passed out on the other side of the cow. If this video was helpful, please leave a like, subscribe, and let me know if you guys need to learn anything else and what you want to hear. Thank you.